I'm Nick Mancuso. In this episode of Mysterious Forces Beyond, magic and the paranormal.
The areas of supernatural really happen in the eye and the mind of the beholder.
So I have tried spells and incantations. No good.
He's skeptical of everything, but accept the possibility of anything.
For some reason, strange things happen whenever I'm around.
We're all looking for the real magic.
Well, I think people want to reach the other side because it proves that there is another world.
The first way to look at a dream is literal. Take it seriously. And if you don't understand it, mull it over.
I thought everybody saw spirit and auras. Until later in life, I was told not everybody sees.
From the boundaries of the universe to the depth of your soul, embark on a journey through the unknown and unexplained as we explore mysteries, magic, and miracles. Hello and welcome. I'm Patrick McNee. Today, we'll probe into the unconscious mind through the world of dreams, and we look into spirits that revisit this world. But first, Jim and Susan will take us on a journey to the world beyond through a seance. Reaching the world beyond is a mystery to some and a solution to others. Could a seance be a second chance to resolve lingering conflicts with the dead? Our fascination with death and the hereafter stems from various instances, from seeing ghosts to living through near-death experiences. Some people feel the need to know more about the mysterious world of the spirits. Rose Clifford and Mark Edward are two well-known mediums who help people to contact spirits in the other world.
Well, I think people want to reach the other side because it proves that there is another world. I think that in the world we live in, people want escape. They want answers to questions. Spirits of ancestors, I call you forward. Let my words go forth, and let us know you are here.
So all kinds of things can happen in a seance. You can have physical phenomena with things moving, or spirits appearing, noises, apports, things appearing, materializations.
People have various reasons why they consult mediums. Some hope to communicate with their loved ones, to be reassured that they still exist.
You have a gentleman who comes and he has a beard. He was bearded. I feel him standing behind you. His name was Christopher, I feel.
There are two ways in which spirits communicate through mediums. One way is mental contact, which is known as clairvoyant mediumship. A group of people will come together to form a spirit circle. It usually entails short messages from spirits.
Now, the name Mariette is coming from a lady in spirit. Marion or Mariette. She belongs to somebody here. I see the face of the spirit coming from the other side. Sometimes I don't. It's a voice I hear telling me who they are. I don't think they enter the body. They enter your consciousness. I can't see because the spirit is not physical. I feel the connection comes here in the mind.
The most spectacular form of communication with the spirits is trance sitting. The medium acts as a channel for the spirit literally taking over the persona of the deceased person.
Charles, are you in this room with us now?
Well, that's a very specific area of mediumship, and it's not to be used generally because it's quite dangerous for the medium. One simple thing, you're not supposed to be touched when you're in a trance state. So, and you have to have people there who know what's happening because you are not in control of it.
Although Mark deals with the more entertaining side of seances, there is still more to it than meets the eye.
We will try to cross the ethereal path and to reach the other side. The other world, which I believe is parallel to ours, offers this idea that, well, maybe there's something else. Charles, will you speak through me to the group? He says, Patricia, I forgive you. I think after a seance, people are empowered to maybe accept life more.
The guardian spirit is a concept that has been with mankind since the beginning of time. The Chinese called it the Great Person. The Hindus know it as the chosen God, and the Greek mystics knew it as the luminous self. More recently, the idea of the guardian spirit is known as the silent master.
I can't see how we could manage without a guiding spirit, actually. Yes, each one has them. Whether we listen to them or not, that's another thing.
If you believe that death is the end, the seance could change your mind. Fear of death can be released once we realize that death is merely an ongoing part of our spiritual lives. We cannot bring back the dead. Perhaps a seance, though, opens the possibility of life after death. We could still communicate with them. We just have to go about it in a different way.
It's been almost 70 years since he disappeared for the last time. Yet his status as the world's greatest magician has never gone away. The extraordinary life of Harry Houdini, next on Biography.
One night in Montreal, he was between shows when two students went backstage to take him up on another of his well-known boasts.
So he's in his dressing room, he's reading his mail, he's going through it. Apparently one of these students said, Mr. Houdini, I understand that I could punch you as hard as I want and it wouldn't bother you. And he said something like, yeah. He wasn't listening and he didn't have time to tense his muscles up, and apparently the student hit him in the stomach, which ruptured his appendix.
He continued his tour until the ruptured appendix and the resulting peritonitis were diagnosed. Houdini languished in the hospital for 2 days.
It is the spirit of Houdini we wish to contact. We have waited, Houdini, oh, so long. Never have you been able to present the evidence you promised. And now, this is a night of nights. Levitate the table, move it. Lift the table, move it, rap on it. Spell out a code, Harry, please. Mrs. Houdini, the 0 hour has passed. The 10 years are up. Have you reached a decision?
Yes. Houdini did not come through. I now reverently turn out the light. It is finished. Good night, Harry.
Now, the legend has it that at that moment, there was a huge thunderstorm that lasted for about 5 minutes. The rain came down, it was thunder and lightning, and then just as quickly as it had approached, it disappeared. Maybe this is Harry's way. If you were the greatest magician that ever walked the face of the earth, would you just rattle a tambourine or unlock some handcuffs? No, you would want people to know that you're up in the heavens and that you're there for that moment.
Beatrice, give us a sign. Please, we are waiting. 1 rap for yes, 2 for no. Beatrice, are you there? about some relationship problems you're having? Is that right? Because if you're going to be in the circle, you've got to leave behind all worldly thoughts. You're thinking, is it over? Is that your question? All right. It's not over. It's not over, okay? It's not over. It looks like You know what I'd like to do is I'd like to get a real skeptic. Let's just see you stand up. A real skeptic. Would a real skeptic please stand up? Somebody who doesn't buy into any of this. This gentleman right here. Everybody else sit down. Now, sir, we never met. You have no idea who I am or what's going to happen, right, sir? But I want you in a clear voice, sir. You do not believe in any sort of spiritual beliefs. I mean, well, let's just say spiritualistic beliefs. You don't believe in spirits or ghosts? No, I don't. You're a die-hard skeptic. You know, sir, it's interesting, though, because you may be a die-hard skeptic, but you carry something with you for good luck, don't you, sir? I don't think so. No, there is something that you carry that I feel maybe you're not even aware of it as good luck, but sir, you have in your pocket, you have like I'm getting like a small pocket knife. Yes, that is. You do? That's good. Now what I'd like you to do, sir, is hand that knife to somebody. How about this gentleman right here? Hand the knife to him. I'm going to try and go a little deeper with that. Don't let me see it, because I see like a pearl handle. It's small. Is it a pearl handle knife? Hold it up so everyone can see it. And I'd like you to open up the blade, if you would, the biggest blade, because I'm feeling there's an inscription on that knife. I'm going to try and get it. Could you open up and go? There's something very small. That's why I wanted to have somebody who's in the light who can see. Is there an inscription at the bottom of the biggest blade, sir? Yes. Hey, concentrate. Don't say what it is. Let me try and get it. Is there a U in the word, sir? I'm getting Utica. Yes. Is that what it says? Yes. Thank you. All right. And you, sir. Thank you very much.
Magic may be the oldest of the theatrical arts. In medieval Europe, magic was a carefully guarded secret of wizards and priests, used to foster a belief in their supernatural powers. Yet for most modern magicians, magic is nothing more than the skillful tricks of the trade. But is magic simply sleight of hand? Or do magicians sometimes exhibit truly magical powers? There's a fine line between the world of magic and the realm of the paranormal. And while many magicians claim their craft is merely illusion, others believe that at times, magic gives way to the supernatural.
This is the world-famous Magic Castle in Los Angeles, performance space and social club for some of the greatest magicians in the world. Several of them gathered to discuss the line between magic and the paranormal.
I believe that there is another world and that we constantly cross over into it. It may not necessarily be paranormal because I think it's a natural event. Now, what can happen is when you're in the character of being a magician or a quote-unquote mind reader or a psychic, you get this crossover where suddenly you're not in character anymore and something real happens.
I think that the one side we're on is all that we're going to experience. I do not believe that there is transportation from one side to the other, if you mean that side being death and non-death.
I don't believe in the other side as it's defined in most of the philosophical or theological or parapsychological constructs that I've come across. I think there's more out there than I personally understand.
And just simply
The Amazing Randy is both a professional magician and a leading skeptic of paranormal phenomena.
Since there's absolutely no good evidence that psychic or paranormal powers of any kind exist anywhere in the world, I would hardly be likely to believe that magicians have those powers. Now, mind you, I know some magicians like to fancy themselves in their private lives as wizards of a different nature altogether. They think they can do black magic or real magic, if you will. I think that they live a rich fantasy life.
The kind of magic that I do is quite different from paranormal. because everything that we do, we magicians, is done without the use of extracurricular activity, if you will.
I think perhaps an argument could be made that since magicians are obviously interested in mystery, it might be more likely to find people with supernatural skills among magicians than among other professions.
We believe because we want to as an audience. So the magic and the areas of supernatural really happen in the eye and the mind of the beholder.
So let me explain this magic, illusions, and tricks. And let me illustrate it for you with this, this white handkerchief, which you notice I push into the top of my hand like this. And when I pull it out of the bottom, you see it's changed color. It goes in white and comes out red. You probably would have noticed that anyway, even if I hadn't called it to your attention. But this is an illusion that the handkerchief is changing color, see? It's an illusion, but there is a trick to it. And I'm going to explain what the trick is. And in order to do this, you have to have, you see, two handkerchiefs, huh? One red and one white. That's all there is to it. Most magic tricks are quite simple when you know the secret.
Magic is a word that's badly used in Canada and the United States. Magic really means to control nature by means of spells and incantations, and I can tell you I have tried spells and incantations. No good. Doesn't work. You got to use trickery.
Some magicians, however, are open to paranormal possibilities.
There's much more to it than just tricks. There are basically two different kinds of magic. There are the tricks, the rabbit out of the hat, and then there's the whole other world of the unknown, which we know nothing about.
I use psychological and intuitive means to simulate mind reading. There are times that the things that I'm able to draw out of a person through nonverbal communication skills and such are not only enough to convince the audience that there's something decidedly strange going on, but enough to convince me.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if we had some tangible proof of another life, of another side, of ability to do things beyond what we can do now?
For the next few moments, I'd like you to concentrate all of your psychic energy, which I know you brought with you tonight.
In this demonstration, Mark Edwards displays what appear to be paranormal powers of extrasensory perception.
I'm going to use this pad of paper and one of your thoughts. So you're out in space, you're watching the world turn around, and you're focusing on that one place. Have you got it in mind? Okay, I want you to concentrate on it, and I will try and get it.
While the subject concentrates on a location, through seeming powers of extrasensory perception, Edwards writes the location on a sheet of paper. But is this actually ESP in action?
Fold this up. And while it's fresh in your mind, what is the place you were thinking of?
Thailand.
I can't believe it.
Has he actually guessed the correct location in the subject's mind?
If you would, sir, reach into the globe.
A third party is asked to reveal the location that Edwards has written down.
Bangkok. So, oh no, please. I am only a tool, an instrument of these unforeseen powers.
I'm not convinced there is a line between magic of the theatrical kind and magic of the real kind. To whatever extent the real kind may or may not exist, it's a continuum. There's a gray area. Now, how gray it gets and how far it goes, that's not for me to say.
There has always been a special relationship between magic and the paranormal, between magicians and mentalists and mediums. What is the nature of this relationship? Why do some magicians express a belief in the supernatural, while others become passionate skeptics and debunkers? At what point do we cross the borderline between magic and the paranormal? Other people may be easily tricked, but magicians are not fooled by illusions. For this reason, magicians are uniquely suited to the exploration of paranormal phenomena.
One legendary magician who studied the paranormal was Harry Houdini, considered by many the greatest magician of them all. Though he never claimed it himself, others said Houdini had paranormal powers.
Houdini did believe that he was supernatural. You should read his press clippings. He believed that he was the most supernatural performer ever to tread the boards.
He went out on stage and said, hey, I can do things that are absolutely impossible, but then he did them. And that's what made him the great Houdini. Many magicians live under this big, dark shadow. They're always compared to Houdini, The magician did a Houdini. The escape artist did a Houdini by breaking out of the jail. And we have to acknowledge that fact.
I once asked my dad, who knew Houdini rather well, what kind of a magician was Houdini? Because his reputation as an escape artist was second to none. But as a magician, my dad said he couldn't put his hands in Central Park without rustling the leaves.
Henry Mueller is owner and curator of the Houdini Museum in Niagara Falls, New York.
Houdini was good at everything. That's why he stayed where he was for so many years. He started out in the late 1800s, early 1900s, turn of the century, and kept going till his death in 1926.
My grandmother saw Harry Houdini walk through a brick wall. And as I read more magic books, I started to say, Grandma, you know, it's a trick. She said, no, it was not a trick. He dematerialized.
Houdini became known as the man who could walk through brick walls. The use of a trap door cleverly hidden under a carpet on the stage allowed Houdini to seemingly start on one side of the solid wall and then appear to materialize on the other side.
Though I never saw him perform, people who did and who have commented said, first of all, he had a terrific personality that at the end of his great heroic efforts to escape from whatever he was doing, he would break into the most wonderful, warming smile.
The concept that Houdini used paranormal powers to do his magic would be laughable to Houdini.
Houdini always denied that anything he did had anything to do with the supernatural. He said it was done by perfectly ordinary means.
But Houdini was able to convince audiences that what he was doing might be more than mere illusion.
Houdini had a great way of acquiring a handcuff collection. He would go into some police department in the city and say, if I can get out of your handcuffs, I own them. And of course, they would always say yes, and he would always walk out with their handcuffs.
It's right here that Houdini did one of his most famous stunts for a motion picture. I believe that motion picture was The Man from Beyond. And believe it or not, that was really him in the water at the rapids, taking a chance with his life. He didn't take many chances. That was one time that he really did.
He took chances only to the point where it would endanger the success of it. He always had an out. And I think that almost any of the things that he did in the town other than the one you were in were the greatest things that were ever done. And to quote Houdini, you should have seen what I did last week.
Houdini would be handcuffed, manacled, placed inside the wooden trunk, and it would be locked with ropes and locks from the outside. Then Houdini would be lowered into the river with a crane and go completely underwater. And then we have here an underwater shot, the first underwater shot ever shot, where Houdini gets out, but of course at the opposite end so you can't see, and he swims around and comes up, and they bring him out.
One of the most profound events in Houdini's life was the death of his mother. He would spend his last years trying to contact her on the other side.
When she died, I think it would be a natural thing for him to at least consider investigating whether or not someone could bring word back from the other side from his mother.
And so he started going around to spiritualists, trying to find someone to make contact. And what he found in these various spiritualist seances that he attended were fraudulent enterprises that he was able to identify as such and duplicate.
Can this person really bring back someone from the dead? Can they really make a trumpet float in the air, writing on a slate? He found, when he investigated, no, they were all frauds. And it made him very unhappy. I think that Houdini got into the debunking of mediums for two reasons. I think the first reason was that he wanted people to know that they were being defrauded. The second thing was, I think he found when he started doing that, it was a great way to get publicity.
If you want Houdini's take on the supernatural, the best thing to do is to consult Houdini. This is a book he wrote in 1924 called The Magician Among the Spirits. And in the preface, he kind of sums up his attitude toward all this stuff, which is as follows. He says, "Gladly would I embrace spiritualism if it could prove its claims, but I am not willing to be deluded by the fraudulent impositions of so-called psychics or accept as sacred reality any of the evidence that has been placed before me thus far."
What is this mysterious netherworld we call the supernatural? this world of spirits and spells and messages from beyond the grave. Does it truly exist, or does the possibility exist only in our imaginations? Even the great Houdini, the most prominent paranormal skeptic of his time, spent the last years of his life searching for answers, consulting with psychics who might serve as links to the other side. What he found was a series of frauds and con artists whose spiritual trickery he easily exposed. Nevertheless, Houdini vowed that after his own death, he would make every effort to communicate with the living. The eternal bonds of death would be a final challenge for history's greatest escape artist.
Being the escapologist he was, he figured that if anybody could come back after death, it would be he. But so that you couldn't wake up tomorrow morning and say, Houdini came back to me in my dream last night, he took a letter from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, put the letter into an envelope, and sealed it in 1926. Houdini circled 10 words in that letter, and then made a code which I carry with me in my pocket. This code and the 10 words together make up the secret message which Houdini will bring back, if he comes back.
For 10 years following his death on Halloween, in 1926, Houdini's wife Beatrice ran a seance every Halloween. And the last one, when nothing happened, they announced they were done. They would never do it again. And at that moment, on the roof of a hotel here in Hollywood, the story goes, it rained. Years later, about 15 years ago, I thought it would be interesting to try a seance of my own, and I did an outdoor seance nearby that same location. And it didn't rain, but during the hour of the seance, we had about 20 minutes where a very heavy, wet mist descended on the seance table, which I thought was kind of strange, and I had no specific explanation for it. It was a dry night. The next night, I ran into Patrick Culleton, a Houdini expert, and mentioned to him that I didn't get rain, but I got this mist. He turned white and informed me that although there was no way that I would have known, the story about the rain was hype and embellishment. And in fact, what had happened on that rooftop in the 30s was a mist that descended.
In the seance in 1931-32 that my dad held at the Biltmore Hotel right here in Los Angeles, he got together, and one of the newsmen said, well, what are you going to do if Houdini shows up? My dad said, there's going to be a new door in the building where I go out through the wall.
I decided 4 or 5 years ago I was not going to have any part of that, because I really believe at this point that it's disrespect for Harry Houdini. He died in 1926. Let's let him rest in peace.
But some refuse to let Houdini rest. To this day, people still gather to summon his spirit.
The purpose of the Houdini seance is to entertain the audience. Now, if along the way some interesting things happen to come through for me and for you, then that's my goal.
One of the participants invited to attend tonight's seance is Houdini Museum curator Henry Mueller.
I'm the skeptic at the table, and I really don't think anything will happen tonight, but you never can tell.
See, there's two aspects to a magic show. There's the purposeful performance of the magician, and there's a suspension of belief on the part of the audience. Most of the illusion takes place in the mind of the audience.
I think we're ready to douse the lights. If we could remove the lights, please, except for the candle.
In the candlelight, the seance begins.
We have now formed the psychic circle.
Edwards appears to channel the spirit of Houdini's late wife, Beatrice.
Beatrice Houdini, are you with us tonight? I am with you tonight. Do you wish a sign? Yes, Beatrice, give us a sign. Blow out the candle.
Now in total darkness,
Harry,
he calls upon the spirit of Harry Houdini.
Harry, are you there? Can you give us a sign, Harry?
As if in
With the
reply,
slate
strange sounds are
or the
heard.
handcuffs, Harry?
But are these truly sounds from beyond the grave? Minutes later, when the lights come back on, Edwards is apparently exhausted.
Yes. He may break the psychic circle. Well.
So what's the opinion of our Houdini expert?
What do you think? Did we get any that you know about, sir?
I think it was a very well done seance, but I don't think Houdini came back.
When you call in spirits, let me tell you something. You got to call them and know what you're calling them for. And when they come, you got to have something to say to them.
No, I didn't feel anything. Our spirits are concerned. I mean, everything happened in the dark, and I was skeptical as to where he was and what he was doing.
I truthfully believe he's telepathic. I have seen other people with telepathy. And I don't think that was tricks, what he was doing with the writing and stuff. I've seen other men in action, people in action.
Although neither Harry Houdini nor his wife Beatrice paid a visit, Edwards does not believe that this seance was a failure.
I think the seance was typical in many respects in that you cannot force these things to happen. They will happen when they want to, and the best plans, no matter how carefully you set it up, do not always give results. So as far as an entertainment, I think it was very successful, but as far as actually linking up with something on the other side, Harry is famous for being elusive.
He may very well, during the seance, have some sort of supernatural experience, but I suspect that it may be more valuable as a publicity ploy, and I rather doubt, seriously, that Mr. Edwards means that the way you've taken it.
I've had people touched by invisible hands that I know were not in the room. I've had cold chills come into the room, and I know there is no way for that to happen because there are no windows in the room. But like I said, I go back in the dressing room and I try and figure out what happened. And many times I cannot figure it out. And I think to myself, maybe there's a message that's going to come through when I add up all these things. But I haven't gotten to the point where I can give you conclusive evidence. Let's just say that's the fun of it for me.
We are watching and waiting, Harry. Levitate the table. Move it. Lift the table. Move it. Rap on it. Spell out a code, Harry. Please. Do it, Harry. Please. Mrs. Houdini, the 0 hour has passed. Have you reached a decision?
Yes. Houdini did not come through. The Houdini shrine has burned for 10 years. I now reverently turn out the light. Good night, Harry.
As of this date, Harry Houdini has yet to make his escape from the great beyond. But today, magicians still ply their secret trade along the narrow corridor between reality and illusion, between the possible and the impossible, between the normal world and the realm of the paranormal. Next time, journey with us to the border of the known and the unknown on Mysterious Forces Beyond.
I think this might be orange. Would you go ahead and open it up and show everybody, see if I got it right? Yeah. Yep, good. Well, gee. I'm going to say blue. Let's see what happens. I'm getting a dark color. Go ahead and open it up and see if I got it right. I don't guarantee 100% on this, folks. It's blue? Okay, thank you. Yellow.
It's yellow.
Yellow. Right away, I get the impression you're from a small town in the Midwest. From very humble beginnings, you developed an inquisitive, steel-trap mind and a compelling but compulsive personality. Right from the very start, this gentleman was the true scholar-athlete, able to discuss algebra or quantum mechanics just as easily as football or playing pool. You turned down many different offers to seek political office, trusting instead to be the accomplished advisor of philosophers, statesmen, and kings. All of this developed within you an electronic, sort of a electromagnetic personality which has a profound effect on the people who are around you, particularly women, who find that when they enter the room, the need to touch you, to paw you, to whisper indiscretions into your ear,
and not infrequently to throw their clothes off and throw themselves at your feet. Did I get that about right, sir? Good, all right, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Can a psychic really tell you about your life and your future? A lot of people think they can, but a lot of people also think that psychics are nothing but fakes. Our Conan Nolan tonight is trying to find the truth about psychics once and for all. Here's Conan.
Paul, this is an industry which is almost completely unregulated. You don't need a license to become a psychic. There is no exam. It helps, however, to have the gift of prophecy, or at least know how to be a good listener.
If you know the extension number of the psychic you'd like to speak to, press 1 now.
You can find it in the back of a magazine. Your future.
You have an absolutely phenomenal period of time coming in your life.
Is just a phone call away.
I'm not seeing real great things with you right now.
If you were over 18, have a credit card, or simply have a phone, you can talk to a psychic.
You have a very strong energy, I think.
Someone like Mark Edward, who dispenses New Age wisdom over the telephone for a living.
Remember, a lot of these people have serious problems, but they don't want to leave their house. They're afraid. They can't afford to go to a psychologist or an analyst or a therapist. So this is the poor man's therapy.
This poor man's therapy is the Psychic Hotline, part entertainment, part counseling, and pure profit. They're fiber optic forecasters, helping a fast-growing clientele find answers often to life's two most pressing concerns.
Definitely two subjects, love and money.
Easily the most successful psychic phone line is the one found on late-night television.
The following paid program is a special presentation of the Psychic Friends Network.
We are the most popular, most successful, highest-grossing infomercial of all time.
Linda Georgian is the energy force behind the Psychic Friends Network. Using celebrity host Dionne Warwick as her spokeswoman, Georgian, a former school teacher, has built an empire of psychics, astrologers, and tarot card readers who work around the clock for people seeking advice from the other side.
When you call the number on your screen, you'll speak to a master psychic.
Infomercials advertise a 900 number. A call from Los Angeles, for example, is then connected to a switching office in Delray Beach, Florida. That call is then transferred to one of 1,500 psychics operating out of their homes. All of them offering advice, and they admit some common sense for $3.95 a minute.
I can offer them hope, and also the confirmation of the fact that they have the power within themselves to create their own future.
Who knows what kind of advice is being given to somebody who is genuinely in pain?
Michael Shermer is editor of Skeptic Magazine. He claims that people who call psychic hotlines are willing participants in a deception.
I'd say you're doing rather well. It looks like you're going to be making more money fairly soon.
Most people that call, they want to believe that the person is really psychic and knows something about them. So they will feed them all kinds of messages and information and not even really be aware of this. And somebody, a so-called psychic who's good at this, can pick up on it and feed that back to them, and they think, wow, how did he know that? Well, if we play the tapes back half hour ago, you told him.
I have to admit that even happened to me. I was amazed that one telephone psychic was able to guess my age until I realized that at the start of the call, I had given her my birthday. Still, there are millions of believers. What do these people get from talking with a psychic? Well, they do get something. We'll explore exactly what that is tomorrow on the Channel 4 News at 5. But, of course, if you're psychic, you already knew that.
Hey, Conan, did the boss hear your conversation there with the psychic?
Whole of myself. I found it to be very helpful.
From 900 numbers to a session with a psychic, what do people really find out? Psychics, today at 5 on the channel.
I like to go see a psychic and get some kind of feedback.
We'll tell you what people really learn when they go see the psychics. The Channel 4 News at 5 begins right now.
You are watching Channel 4 News. Coverage you can count on.
Still ahead.
I like to
Go see a psychic and get some kind of feedback.
What psychics really tell their clients. Our special report is coming up. Thanks a lot. Psychics, the word conjures up images of crystal balls, palm readings, tarot cards, things like that. But psychics, we're told, are changing. Question is, what do they really tell their clients? How do they know what to say? Conan Nolan is here now with more on the world of psychics. Conan?
Colleen, Americans are on a quest for spiritual rebirth. No longer satisfied with their present, people are looking into the future to learn how to live better. And they're asking psychics to be their guide.
So when's our next earthquake?
I don't think that we're going to have any for the rest of '94.
I see two decisions that are very important coming up.
Trips and travel look good for you also in the next couple months, few months.
They call it a gift from God. There are plenty who don't believe it.
The laws of nature as we understand them would not account for these kinds of phenomena.
But a growing number of people who do.
I really felt that this person tapped into the real soul of myself.
And they might give you something from a past life. I like to go see a psychic and get some kind of feedback.
Some believe this is all an extension of a deep-seated human need for spirituality. But others say this is generational, the product of a group of people who grew up during a very turbulent period in our history known as the 1960s.
A lot of what is now called the New Age is really sort of the 60s repackaged for people that are now middle-aged.
Dr. Robert Elwood is a professor of religious studies at USC. He claims that baby boomers who rejected their parents' faith are now on a spiritual shopping spree.
What you do now is you kind of put together your own kit of things that you can use where you are. And that's going to the New Age bookstore. You know, you can get the books and the tapes and the videos and the crystals and so on and kind of put it together yourself.
For many, their new spirituality includes having a personal consultant in touch with tomorrow. But in reality, most psychics see themselves more as motivators than they do fortune tellers.
We're cheerleaders without pom-poms. Our job is to cheer you to the finish line, giving you the best days and the best ways for success.
I don't look so much to give people the future as to help them to create it, to create a better future, to find enlightenment.
I think that the greatest thing I can do with someone is to inspire a sense of their own potential, their own confidence.
Whether or not you think that someone can predict the future using astrology or tarot cards, there's no denying the benefits accorded to many of those who choose to believe.
Hearing that things are going to be a certain way tends to eliminate fear.
A psychic reading appeals to one's ego.
Your favorite subject is you and how you can live better.
And can inspire hope.
You'd be amazed at how just a spark of love, the possibility of love in some lonely person's life could make someone's whole life change.
Psychic Karen Christian gave us another prediction for the future. She says meditation centers will be as common as gas stations, where people can stop in for a little psychic tune-up. Paul Culling.
That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Okay. Thanks, Jordan.
The following is a paid commercial presentation of the Psychic Revival Network. These people are gathering here because, like millions of others around the world, they are becoming aware that they are a part of an emerging worldwide phenomenon. They are just some of the millions of people who believe in and depend on the value of psychic advice. They know there are people who are gifted with the ability to see into this psychic world and find answers to help them achieve the love, wealth, and fulfillment that they deserve. They are a part of a revival of sorts. They also came to share today with this beloved entertainer, singer, actress, comedian, and celebrated star of television and the Broadway stage, Miss Nell Carter.
Hi.
Nell is here today because she wants to introduce America to this completely new kind of spiritual resource.
Say a prayer.
So if you believe that there's more to life than meets the eye, you are about to find out you are not alone. Stay right there. You're tuned into the Psychic Revival Network.
I am so excited to be here today. I'm thrilled because I'm not here to play a role or to speak somebody else's words. I am here to be me. Yes. And to tell you about something I really, really believe in that has been so incredibly useful and important in my life. It has helped me tremendously. And I'm here to introduce you to some remarkable people. People I'm sure you're just going to adore, who've become like a family to me. There are people who have been blessed with the gift, as we used to say when I was younger, the gift of sight. In other words, they are trained professional psychics. And best of all, I am here to introduce you to an exciting and completely new kind of psychic service that these wonderful people have created. Now, I have never met people more gifted than the angels I'm about to bring out here for you to meet. Ladies and gentlemen, here are my 3 personal psychics, Chris, Mark, and Brianna. I know each of you, and you really have been very, very helpful in sharing your gifts with me. I can't tell you how grateful I am.
I see a lot of wonderful things. I see you working in Paris.
You see me working in Paris?
And I also see a new man coming into your life about 50...
Wait, slow down. You see me working in Paris for real?
Yeah.
Because I have an offer to go to Paris in February. Now, what about this man?
The man?
No,
Well, the man is a Taurus, sign of the Taurus.
He is. He sure is.
Yeah, he has money. Not your money. He has his own money.
He has his own money.
Yes.
That's a change.
Yeah, and he likes you. You already know this man, by the way.
I already know him?
Mm-hmm. He's in his 50s.
Oh, God. You're making me shake, because that is very true. I'm getting hot.
All right.
Oh, but enough about me for now.
Keep going.
Anyway, why don't you tell these people about the fabulous new psychic service that you just started? Go ahead, Mark.
Thanks, Nell. Each of us up here and all the psychics on our new network have spoken with literally thousands of people directly, because in addition to our own private practices, we've all been a psychic on one of those big phone networks. And it's been great, but as you know, the fascination with psychic phenomena has grown and exploded in recent years. And the bigger the explosion got, the bigger the network got.
Wait a minute. You mean the huge network wasn't always so big?
Not at all. I remember a time when there was just a handful of psychics and we all knew each other. We knew everybody. Then it began to grow. Soon there were dozens, then hundreds. Today there are thousands of psychics on those huge networks.
Thousands?
Absolutely. And the bigger it's gotten, the further we psychics have gotten from each other and the people who we serve. And after a while, I begin to feel that maybe bigger is not better. Maybe when it comes to dealing with people's personal lives, closer is better, smaller is better.
But not all the time, honey. Big is good sometimes.
Sure, no. More individual concern is better.
Oh, so that's what you mean.
You see, now, I joined the huge psychic network that Mark was on, but it became so big that I never even met the celebrity psychic that does all the television commercials. And you know what? Neither do the people who call for psychic advice. They never get to talk to the people they see in the commercials.
You're kidding me, right? Never?
That's right, never. That's why I am so excited about our new network. I actually get to treat people like I treat my own family when they call me for advice.
And that's really the key. We all wanted to be part of a phone network where all the psychics were connected like a family, where our clients could come and be treated like family.
And that is the idea behind the Psychic Revival Network. It's a place for people to go for professional psychic advice about their future, about their job, about their love life, about anything that's important to them, and be treated like a member of the family.
I felt that I warmed up immediately to my psychic. She seemed like she knew me. It seemed like she had been a friend from the past.
I felt very comfortable talking to her. I felt like I could have asked her anything.
I felt that she was like an older sister to me, who had been that same route that I'm going.
I'm usually not that open, but, you know, I just felt very comfortable with her.
I definitely am going to talk to her again. There's no question. I'm not going to lose that connection.
When we come back, we'll hear from some of our audience members, and you'll also get to meet one of Hollywood's most durable hunks and a good friend of mine. And guess what? He's a part of the family. Now, right now, isn't it about time for you to call your family? Here's your chance.
It all began when a group of some of America's most gifted professional psychics came together to create a completely new kind of psychic service, a network designed and run by the psychics themselves, where deep communication is more important than high call volume, where making a real connection with clients and making a real difference in their lives is more important than making money, and where everyone who calls is treated like a member of the family.
The psychics on our new network are literally the best in the business. We know and respect each other. Each one of us has spoken to hundreds, even thousands of people, from housewives to astronauts, from athletes to businessmen. We've helped them with their careers, their love lives, their finances. So when people call, they literally become a part of a family, and that's the way we treat them. We don't stay aloof, we get involved, we care, we listen, and we give our honest and caring insight.
All right, welcome back. Before our break, I promised you that I was going to bring out a sexy guy, and I'm going to keep that promise later. But first, please say hello to Chandra Cho.
Hello.
Hi. How you doing? Welcome. So, look, why don't you tell the audience about your experience? Come on, I want to hear this.
Well, I was very skeptical, and I was out of work, and I thought, what could I lose? And so I called the hotline up, and at 7:30 in the morning, the psychic told me to be a hat designer.
Yeah.
So I decided to design a hat line. And I went forward, and within 4 months, I had a wholesale line, and I was represented in San Francisco, L.A., Seattle, and Chicago.
That's good. Congratulations.
Thank you. Something for you. There you go. Is that
Eat your heart out.
You go, girl.
Say, go, girl.
You go, girl.
All right. Now, are you ready to meet this guy?
Yes.
Really? You're really ready? Okay, well, not yet. There's someone else I want you to meet. Please say hello to Laura Serberg. Hello, girlfriend. Hi, how are you? So, Laura, will you please tell us about your call and how it changed your life when you got in touch with the network? You take the phone. Go ahead, tell me.
Okay. Back in 1993, I thought, wrongfully terminated on a job I'd been on for about 4 years. And I called the network, and she told me that there was going to be this huge man that was going to come to me and offer me this unbelievable job. And then later on, a guy came into my office, and the guy would not fit through the door. I mean, we're talking 6 foot big, you know. And he offered me $1,000 more a month to go with him.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Thank you. That's great. Well, are you all ready to meet this hunk that I promised you?
Yeah.
Are you really ready?
Yeah.
Okay, listen. He's the man who's been breaking hearts and a lot of furniture all across USA for years. And not only that, but is an international heartthrob and one of the most popular stars in Latin America. Please welcome my very, very, very good friend, Mr. Erik Estrada. Yeah. Welcome to our psychic family. But, oh, God, we've known each other so long. You're
5
no
years
stranger.
we know each other.
5 years, you're trying to make yourself younger? No children older than that. But you know what? This is not your first time being involved in psychic stuff.
No, as a matter of fact, I used to be affiliated with one of the big psychic networks that you guys were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it got so humongous that it became impersonal. I didn't feel connected with anybody there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. See, that was the whole idea behind the Psychic Revival Network. Not to get too big, but, you know, to like, keep it close. You know, like a family,
Like
right?
a family. Just
Yeah.
like, and when I heard about this network, and when I heard that you were connected to it, I said, this got to be the right thing.
Oh, Every please, I am not going to be cooking you fried chicken. That's all it is. So, Erik, darling, you still love me?
Yes, baby.
Really?
Yes.
You do anything I ask you to do?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, I want you to have a reading. Can I listen? Please, would you have a reading?
Yes, yes.
Okay, really? Okay,
Yes,
well,
sure.
how about Chris? Okay. Oh, who, by the way, can be reached from your home by phone as well as the rest of our psychics. Go ahead, go on over there, give him a reading. Let's go. Okay. And just take your time, honey. All right. We're going way into the night. Take your time.
All right. Tell me your birthday. You don't have to tell me the year. It's up to you.
Okay. 3/16/49.
All right. First of all, I get the impression that you've been through a couple of very bumpy relationships.
Yes.
Very bumpy.
Oh, yeah.
They're in the past. They're in the past.
Oh, yeah. Way
Now, you know, it's very interesting. I see a new woman around you, somebody you met several years ago. Very long hair.
Yes.
Very beautiful.
Yes.
She's a buddy, she's a pal, and it looks very, very long term.
Yeah.
I also get the impression there's a lot of legal things in your life right now.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of legal things, things that are keeping you awake at night.
Yes.
Things that you spend way too much time worrying about. Things that there's a lot of inner struggle going on with.
Yeah.
You know, and they're making you, it's taking too much energy from you.
Yeah, it robs me of my peace of mind.
I also get the impression, too, that this has to do with a former relationship of sorts. Do not worry about this. The outcome of this will be in your favor, right? And it seems as though there will be some kind of law. Are you okay?
Yeah.
You want me to stop?
Well, you hit deep when you start talking about the legal things.
All right.
It has to do with my kids.
All right, let's move to something lighter.
No.
Okay, lighter. When are you going to Hawaii? Look soon.
November.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. You're really into health. Yeah. This is like a turnaround. What happened? It doesn't matter what happened.
No, I'm older now. I'm matured a little bit. I don't keep slipping in it or falling in it as much as I used to.
You know, I see you developing a line of health products. Health products? Maybe for not so much the U.S., but for other countries where, wow, you're going to do very well with this.
Well, you hit it again.
This is good.
I start filming at the end of October. I go to Miami for a week to film 6 commercials for Premier Vitamins for the Latin market.
Wow. Do you have some questions for me?
I have a question I want to ask it for my Nanette. Will we get married next year?
There's a very good possibility. And yes, she will have a girl.
Yeah. All right. I already have 2 boys. Thank you.
When you really, really need support and advice, where do you go? To your family, of course. I mean, where they know you and care about you. Well, what if a member of your family were a gifted psychic? And anytime you needed them, you could call and they would be there for you, giving you not just good advice, but deep, spiritual, powerful psychic advice. That's exactly what the Psychic Revival Network is all about. So whether you need a spiritual shoulder to lean on or psychic pep talk, whether you want answers about your love life or your career, whether you want to put your mind at ease by seeing what the future may have in store for you financially, or you just want to talk to someone who is both wise and caring. Now, isn't it nice to know that you can pick up the phone anytime, day or night, and call the Psychic Revival Network? You know, it really is like having a gifted psychic in the family. So why not call right now? I know I will.
My psychic told me that within 2 weeks, I would have a job that I wanted to do. And within 8 days after I talked to the psychic was when I got the job to do this wedding arrangement that I'm doing now.
I had a question about my career, and my psychic gave me some really good insight about some options, etc., that I should be considering that I hadn't even thought of. She was psychic. I mean, this woman was completely psychic.
You know, I don't really need to ask you if that was great. I kind of heard.
No, it was fantastic. Wow, it's been a while. I've forgotten how wonderful it is to get a really terrific reading from a very good, gifted psychic. Thank you.
See, I told you that before you came here. But be honest, how does it compare to those other networks?
Well, there's no comparison, child.
Ciao.
It doesn't come close. It's really the difference between being with a stranger or with a member of your own family. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And I suggest everybody try it.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I'm sure this next person would agree with you. Now, how would you feel as a parent if you were told by teachers, educators, and other experts that your child was not as smart or socially developed as other children? Well, being the mother of 3 children, I would not like that. Well, here's a story about a mother who, instead of believing these experts, decided to get a second opinion from her family psychic. And as you're about to see, the advice she received helped her and her child turn a tragedy into a triumph. Now take a look.
Okay, so who wants to read aloud the Gettysburg Address? All right, how about Aaron?
No matter how hard he tried in school, Aaron's grades were consistently low.
Score and sev and yea are ago. Our bow are batters. Kim.
That's enough, class.
No one took Aaron's struggle harder than his mother, Jan.
Hi, honey. How's your day? Honey, what's wrong? What happened? I'm too stupid for school. I'm quitting.
Even though she was in the midst of a financial crisis, Jan was determined to help Aaron learn. So she went to see his teacher after school.
Aaron is a nice boy, and he tries. But we could never graduate a student who can't master the basic skills.
With her worries mounting, Jan decided to consult someone with a fresh perspective, her psychic, Tina.
Oh, hi, Jan. How are you?
I don't know. Am I ever going to be able to make ends meet?
You will, Jan. But you just have to give it some time. But I see that you're even more worried about your son, aren't you?
How did you know about Aaron? I keep trying to tell him he's not stupid, but...
You're right, Jan. He's not stupid. I see that his problem is physical, not mental.
I've taken him to 3 different optometrists. I'm telling you, glasses don't make any difference.
It's not an optometrist that he needs. You need to take him to a specialist, an ophthalmologist.
The next day, Jan scheduled an appointment with a top specialist. Dr. Shea gave Aaron a thorough eye examination. And Jan realized that without Tina's advice, she might have given up hope.
Mrs. Wright, the doctor would like to speak with you.
Aaron's center of vision is 5 points off the norm, so he can't see any word more than 3 letters long. But these lenses will correct it.
I told you so? You mean she...
Yes, Aaron, your mom was right all along. Now, with these and a little tutoring, you'll be reading like a champ in no time.
Today, Aaron is reading over 220 words per minute and will graduate high school on time.
Mom, how'd you know? A very special friend helped me.
Thanks to Tina and the Psychic Revival Network, Jan got her son the help he needed and now can focus her attention on a brand new challenge, Aaron's very bright future.
That was so inspiring. And talk about inspiration. I want to introduce you to the real mother and son from the story you just saw. Jan, girl, that was something. What was your psychic name? Tina. I bet she gave you a lot of good advice.
The best.
I guess you would like to meet her, though, wouldn't you?
That would be fantastic.
That's great, because she's sitting right there next to you. Are you serious? She is.
When I hung up the phone with Jackie, my psychic, I felt so empowered. I felt this rush.
When I hung up the phone, I sat there for a minute. And I said, wow. I was like shaken, you know, in disbelief that someone could know me like that.
If you've ever called a psychic network, you know how great it can be if you get the right psychic. Well, let me tell you, with the Psychic Revival Network, you can't miss. I've never met a more caring, competent, gifted group of psychics in my life. Even if you've never called because maybe you're a little reluctant or even a little shy about getting advice from a stranger. Well, believe me, after a few seconds with these wonderful psychic angels, you'll feel perfectly comfortable and at ease. For me, I've never felt so understood, so at home. So call the Psychic Revival Network and find out what it feels like to be part of the family. You won't regret it.
Welcome back. Now, how many people here have actually called the networks, huh? Oh, you have? Okay, stand up. What's your name?
Hi, I'm Marcy.
Oh, well, will you take this and you tell us your story, okay?
I was blown away. She told me things that I couldn't believe. For instance, I had an associate that I was going to go call on that afternoon, and she said, okay, your associate, she said, he's going to be doing something major and big that you don't know about yet. Now, she had no way of knowing this person. I had to drop by his office that afternoon, and usually I just go in, say what I have to say, and then leave. And I thought, you know, I'm just going to test this. So I said to him, what's happening with your life? I see really big things and things that are happening. And he looked at me and said, how did you know? And he told me about this project that he had planned that nobody knew about. And I thought, wow, this really works.
Yeah, honey, just call the network. They'll tell you what you need to know.
This has really been exciting for me.
I know that's good. You know, I wish we had time for everybody to have a chance to call one-on-one with one of our fabulous Psychic Revival Network psychics. But since we don't, Mark and Brianna have agreed to do a few impromptu readings right here and now for some lucky members of our audience. Take it, guys.
All right. Well, anybody would like a reading in the audience? Let's see. How about, I'm going to go to this lady right here. Stand up if you would. Your name is?
Pat.
Pat. Right away, Pat, I get this feeling that you are a people person.
Yes.
You've never been somebody who would be happy stuck in a windowless room with a computer or anything like that, right? Yeah. Are you involved with, I feel like bodybuilding or maybe nutrition or food or something like that? Is that right? Yes. So what, do you have a specific question maybe about food? I don't know. What would your question be?
Well, I'd like to know, will my health food business be my income for retirement, or would mail order be the vehicle for my wealth and freedom?
Forget mail order. Mail order is out. You get into health foods and helping people that way, and you'll be very successful as long as you can be very sure about the people who you put your faith in who work for you. Sometimes you're not always the best judge of people's character. Is that true? Yeah. Okay, so if you can just listen to what your gut level says about the people who you get to work for you, you're going to be incredibly successful, okay?
Thank you.
All right, good luck. All right, thank you. Okay, I'm going to send it over to Brianna. All right.
How about you? What is your name?
My name is Jerry.
Nice to meet you, Jerry. Do you have a question for me?
Yes, I was wondering if, after my divorce 12 years ago, if there's another relationship in my future.
Jerry, yes, there is. You're very concerned about your child's welfare, which is wonderful. But it's time for you to love again. Once you let go, you'll be able to let someone come into your life. I actually pick up an initial M around you, maybe a Mary, but a very nice woman. She knows your child. It seems like it's right around August of next year. That's when everything will open up around your relationship for it to blossom and grow.
That's amazing, because I've been dedicating my life to my children.
That's good.
Thank you.
Now back to you, Mark.
Okay, all right. How about this lady here? How are you? You're a troublemaker, aren't you? Is that right?
Big troublemaker.
I feel like you got a lot of energy. You're a little bit dangerous. So let's get to your question.
Too dangerous.
What's your question? You have
My question is, I'm taking a trip.
Okay.
And I'd like to know if the trip will be safe. And I want to know if I do make it, will I have a wonderful time?
I think you will not only have a wonderful time, but you're going to experience something that's really going to change your whole life. And it has nothing to do with any accidents or anything like that. Most of the things you worry about never come true, right?
That's for sure.
So are you going to have fun on your trip?
I sure will, now that you told me.
Okay, good. I'm glad. You have a good trip. All right. Bon voyage. Okay.
Well, you know what? I'll be honest with you, you guys are just great. You are really fantastic.
And amazing.
Yeah.
And they did it so quickly. You know, a lot of times, I don't want to spend a lot of time on the phone. And I may have some quick questions for some specific answers. But calling some of the other networks, you get the impression that they don't really want to talk to you unless you're willing to spend time on the phone and some of this.
Not on our network, Eric. The Psychic Revival Network wants to hear from you and anybody else, whether they want a quick question answered or want a long reading about their whole life. If you're in a hurry or on a budget, our psychics get right to the point, get you an answer, and send you on your way in no time.
Like I'll call up my psychic and I say, well, should I buy the blue one or the brown one? And I'll even have to tell her when I'm buying.
Well, that's some service.
No, that's family, honey. Now you don't have an excuse for calling your psychic family now, do you?
No, I don't.
And neither do you. Look, no matter where you are, if you want some quick advice, just pick up the phone and call. Don't wait for the time to be just right. your psychic will be there for you anytime, anywhere.
After I called my psychic, I felt very good about the decisions I was making in my life.
It's like the call is still going on. And that feeling that I had during the call is still going on.
I know I'm on track because she has laid out for me. I mean, she knows me better than I know myself.
I've given the number out like 15 times with her extension, so she's going to be very busy.
I highly recommend it.
Before we go, I want to say thank you so much for being with us today. Especially, I would like to say thank you to my good friend Eric. And I also like to thank my angels, Chris, Mark, and Brianna. I also want to say, from the bottom of my heart, when you do have a problem and you need loving, compassionate psychic advice from someone who understands and cares, pick up the phone and call the Psychic Revival Network. It really doesn't matter what time of the day or night it is. Now, I bet there is something on your mind right now that you would really love to have the answers to. Go ahead and call. You'll be so happy you did. And I am so happy to have been with you today and tonight. All right, guys, take it away.
This has been a paid commercial presentation of the Psychic Revival Network.
You don't really believe that psychics can control things and that, matter moves by itself. It's ridiculous. I'm going to take one. This time, the copper one. Very deftly dropped. Over here in my pocket. Go ahead. What's got to be in this hand? Silver one. You have to have 2 coins to do the trick. I understand how it is. A lot of people...
welcome to another edition of Brainstorm. I'm Celeste, and this is Sunny. Now, she's here because of tonight's special guest, Mark Edward. I've known Mark for a few years, and he's a talented and gifted psychic. But Mark has also developed a unique talent telepathically communicating with animals. And he's going to demonstrate this psychic link for us. Welcome back to Brainstorm. My special guest tonight is a member of the Psychic Entertainers Association and the American Society for Psychic Research. And he's also a professional animal trainer. He worked with a gentleman named Ray Berwick, who trained all those birds in the Alfred Hitchcock movie, The Birds. And it's really a delight to introduce him to you. This is Mark Edward. Thank you very much for being here, Mark.
It's nice to be here.
I want to say one thing. We are having a little bit of confusion here with the animals, so we have no idea what's going to happen. But that's live TV, and here we go. Mark, I've written down some questions with all this confusion so that I at least cover everything I wanted to ask you. Now, I know as a psychic, both of us get asked this a lot, but it is something that everybody really wants to know. When did you first realize that you had the psychic gift and that you were getting these different...
Well, I think I always had something going on, but I wasn't quite sure what it was. I don't think it was especially acknowledged by my parents or relatives. I think they were a little put off by it. So it was something that I channeled into a lot of different areas, art and music and things like that. And then it was basically a communication thing. And then after a while, I realized that I could read people's thoughts or predict things, and I accepted it, and the people around me started to accept it too. So it was a little scary for most people in the beginning, including me, but once I realized that I could help people with it, that it was a gift, then it became easier to handle.
Yeah. Do you think that everybody has a certain psychic gift?
Sure, I think we all have it. Most people don't give it much significance. Some people decide to develop it by listening to it. To me, being psychic just really means paying attention.
Right, right.
So, you know.
There are a lot of different avenues of showing the different psychic gifts, like tarot cards and palmistry and clairvoyance. Is there anyone that really comes through strongest for you, or?
Well, my label that they have given me is intuitive clairvoyance, which means it's kind of hard to describe, but it's like I push myself forward into the future, take a look around at what I see happening, and then try to verbalize it. So it's not fortune telling like with tarot cards, because I'm not really telling a fortune. It's more like I'm remembering what I saw. So it's a visual thing, and it kind of happens really fast. It's like a back to the future sort of an idea.
Yeah.
So it's hard to grasp for people who don't understand it, but it is very visual, because that's my background in art and that sort of thing. So when I see something, I just believe it, and it usually comes true. So.
Yeah. And have you always loved animals? Is that?
Oh yeah, animals have always been a big part of my life, and I've always been interested in communication with animals on other than a verbal level. They seem to understand things. There's all those stories about when you a loved one is on their way driving home, and all of a sudden they're 10 miles away, but the dog starts to, whine and paw at the door. How could they know that? Do they hear it? Do they sense it? So initially, things like that started to really interest me.
Yeah.
And then when I became an animal trainer, the linkage just was so strong with the animals that I worked with that I knew that was what I wanted to do. So that's what I've been working with.
That's great. Sunny, sit. That's a good girl. Yes, you're a good puppy. I know that you have private consultations with people. Do you also make appointments for animals?
Sure.
Really?
Why not? I mean, in fact, that's what I would prefer to do, as silly as it sounds.
Yeah.
I mean, I would rather, it's like some famous poet said, the more I'm around animals, the less I like people. So it's like, it's not that I'm a hermit, but I love animals, and they have a lot to say if people will listen. Really, that's the way I feel.
When you were working, training animals in motion pictures, was that when you really discovered that telepathic link?
Well, I think what it was is I just became dissatisfied with animal trainers.
Yeah.
Because trying to teach certain behaviors to animals can be very frustrating for the animal, and I didn't like that part of it, so I got out of that area, because I like just affection training, which is a school where I originally learned, which is you don't use food, you just
love the animal, and the animals respond much more to that. So
Oh,
that's where
yeah.
that's where that sort of link comes through. If you feed it or you reward it, the animal will respond, but they're more in tune with a love vibration than they are food. So once you understand that, then you don't have to always be weighing them and feeding them a certain amount, and you know. So that's what I prefer, is just to talk to them and take them for walks, and, you know.
Right.
That's how I reward my animals. I don't feed them a lot or not feed them.
Yeah.
So.
Now, I know that that you're one of the live on the air psychics on one of the local radio shows, because I've listened to you. I wonder, with people realizing that you're telepathic with animals, has anyone called in for you to do a reading for their pet?
I've had a few, but it's very difficult to do over the telephone on the radio, because with animals you really have to have personal contact. Otherwise, it tends to get filtered by the person. In other words, a person will say, well, my dog's digging in the yard. What's the matter with him? Well, you know, over the telephone I can't really tell, but if I go and I find out that there's, you know, a huge yard, you know, or a small yard, and the dog has nothing to do, then it explains it. So to do a reading over the telephone on the radio, if they ask a specific question, sometimes I can give them a specific answer. But to really give the animal a reading, you really have to be there. You know, it's kind of like the dog psychologist in Down and Out in Beverly Hills. You know, you have to look at the animal and see what the people are like around them, and how the animal's responding or not responding. And then it's just, a lot of times it's just common sense. Because sometimes people don't, when you're in the middle of a situation, you don't always see what an outsider would see, you know. So that's why I say it's paying attention and kind of looking at it as if I was an animal. If I was the animal, then what's the environment like? What's going on there?
Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to give you a chance to demonstrate your telepathic link with the two little friends that we've brought here today.
Sonny's asleep, so I don't know what we're going to do.
Okay, we'll be right back. We're back, and we're going to give Mark a chance to demonstrate his psychic abilities with the animals. I've brought a friend with me. This is Kenny Carter, and he's brought his little friend with him. I appreciate you being here, Kenny. And Mark, I'm going to let you go right straight to work and tell us some impressions that you've been getting here.
Well, the first impression I get about, well, not Kenny, but the bird, it's like, the bird seems like there's a restlessness that I get. So there's been a lot of moving around and a lot of things going on with the bird. And
well, she's not used to traveling. She's under, you know,
So the first thing is that I think it's a very sweet bird. I mean, she's not biting anybody or upset. In fact, she's kind of hiding behind you, which is interesting. It shows that she's got a good nature. I don't think you're ever going to have a problem with her. She's young.
Young,
yeah. So there's a lot going on there in terms of, I think the bird will start to, I don't know, I'm getting kind of an impression that, you know, there are certain, this bird bonds with you, but other people who are around you don't really get along with the bird or something like that. Is that true?
That's true.
So that may be part of the restlessness, is that the bird seems like, what the bird is named, I'm sorry?
Blossom.
Blossom, that's right. Blossom certainly has a lot of ability in terms of being affectionate, but she just has to be accepted by
She's very selective with who she likes.
So do you have any questions in particular about what's going on with the bird?
So I just think that she's in unfamiliar surroundings and
right now.
Right.
But I'm talking about the bigger picture. It seems like she's around a lot of other birds all the time.
But she doesn't. She thinks she's a person. She doesn't.
So
she doesn't like other birds at all.
Yeah, but I think that's going to change. I really do. I think
maybe when she gets a little older.
Yeah, when she gets a little older, I think that she's going to start picking up different behaviors from some of the other birds. So the other bird, you have other birds that talk, or they?
Yes.
Because that's what you're going to see, is she's going to take on a lot of different personalities. I mean, right now it looks like she's ready to fly away, but I think it's just a little nervousness here. So I'm trying to think of a way to centralize what I really feel. I guess it would be, does she have a cage of her own?
Yes.
And that's the only way that she'll...
Yes, you put her in with the other birds and she doesn't like it at all. She's very insecure with other birds.
Right. Well, there's a reason for that, and I'm just trying to figure out what it is. I would say the only thing that comes to my mind about that is maybe it's, how long have you had the bird?
About a year. She's hand-raised and hand-fed, and
Right.
she's always had human contact, very
that's
little
what it
contact
is,
with
then.
other birds.
Yeah, okay, so it's the human contact that she does think she's a person,
She thinks
like
she's
you
a person,
said.
yeah.
So I guess you have to keep her maybe in the house. Try that.
Right.
And if
Yeah.
you have any problems with her, keep her right next to you. For, I mean, is the cage that she's in the house?
Yes, it's on the patio.
So it's not near the other birds?
Not, she doesn't, she's very insecure with the other birds.
Really?
And I tried to introduce her to the other birds, and she just panics.
Well, I do think that's going to change, but I think right now that's the best thing to do. I mean, she's not pulling her feathers out or anything like that.
No, she's a great bird.
She's
Never
in good
bites.
shape.
Never.
Yeah. So she's going to get bigger, or is this?
No, she's not that young. She's about two or three.
Yeah. But they live a while.
Yeah,
so
that's still a young bird.
Put her in
Yeah.
your will, as they
Yeah.
say, right? So, I think she's fine. There's just a little restlessness. I guess you have to treat her like a human. Give her her own television set or something. That's what I. Sometimes when you have an animal that really wants to be treated like a human, if you put a radio, let it listen to music or television, then the bird will calm down and they become almost like a couch potato, which is if you have any problems with them. In other words, I don't see the bird screaming or anything, so you're okay.
She's very active and at home when she's in her own environment. She's quite content.
All right.
I have a question. It has nothing to do with a psychic question, but she looks a little different than most cockatoos that I've seen. Is she a different type of breed?
Well,
usually they seem to have more feathers in their face, or is that because of her?
She's a bare-eyed cockatoo, which is, they're not really rare, but they're the most inquisitive and the most intelligent of the cockatoo family.
Yeah, I can see the blue around her eyes.
Yeah.
She's very pretty.
They call
She's agreeing with me.
They're very active and very playful. They call them the clowns of the cockatoo family.
Yeah, well, I think she probably is.
Probably the most intelligent of the cockatoos, I think. I mean, I have other cockatoos, so I'm not being prejudiced.
Yeah, I've worked with them, so that one is very mellow. Usually they would be flying all over.
Yeah, or biting, and she's never bitten me, and they can bite to the bone.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can get some pretty severe bites from them.
Yeah, that's quite a beak she's got on her.
Yeah, they can bite a broomstick into
So I
almost.
think this bird has got a bright future. Just try and keep her out of show business, I think.
She's laughing now.
Good, that's
Well,
good.
let me wake Sonny up and let's see what you can get from her. Sonny?
Sonny, are you awake?
Here. Come say hello. Come on over here.
Let's have a look here. Hi, baby. Well, do you have any specific questions about Sonny's, a well-behaved dog? I don't see any
She's
problem.
a terrific dog, and we have a very special bond between the two of us.
Mhm.
I'm more curious than just what you're picking up.
Well, a couple of things come to my mind about the dog. She's very sweet. She seems like there's almost like two sort of personalities that are inside this dog.
Oh, wow. It's really interesting that you say that, because I've had that feeling for a long time.
But it wasn't always that way. I think that Sunny was kind of on her own, and then something kind of just sort of came into the picture that influenced her in some way. It wasn't a human. It wasn't you. It was possibly.
That's right.
Possibly another.
That's right. This is going to put me out on a limb, but you're right. When she was about 6 months old, she had a grand mal seizure. And I took her to the vet because, I thought maybe she might be epileptic. They couldn't find any reason for that seizure. Now, I got her shortly after I had to have another dog of mine put to sleep because she was very sick, and I was very bonded to that other dog. The first 6 months that I had her, she was a devil. I mean, puppies are always devils, but she was really a devil, and we were having a little bit of a hard time getting along. And suddenly, she had this seizure this one night. We couldn't find any reason for the seizure. And from that point on, all of a sudden, her personality changed, and she started to take on the aspects of the dog that I'd had before.
Wow.
I mean, weird things like when I would, take her for walks, take my other dog for walks, she always liked to get behind me and stick her nose between my knees, and she would walk with me down the street that way, and all of a sudden this dog started doing that.
Wow.
I mean, these really bizarre things.
Well, maybe the spirit of the other dog. I mean, I'm not saying such things are real, but I certainly would not say they haven't happened before. Maybe the love, the energy that you had for the other dog transferred over, the spirit transferred into this dog in some way, which is kind of a scary concept on some levels, but I think that it's not impossible that the traits came through and that you're experiencing. This dog has some of the energy from the other dog, maybe just because of the surroundings, or there's a lot of different reasons for it. Some of them paranormal, some of them normal. It's hard to tell.
I agree with you. Yeah, that it is. You can't ever say anything for sure, but it's really interesting that you picked that up, because it's something I've sort of had as a secret in the closet for a while.
With humans, it can be the same thing. A lot of times when people experience psychic awareness, it comes from some sort of shock to their body, like they have a near-death experience, or they have something that brings them to the moment of dying, and when they come out of it, they have a certain energy that's picked up. And that could very well have happened right here, only maybe that spirit was sort of hovering around and all of a sudden jumped into the... The other thing I felt, and I don't know if it doesn't have anything to do with past lives with the dog, but I don't think she really likes this choke chain.
She hates it.
Yeah.
She absolutely hates it.
I mean, she's not uncomfortable with it, but it's just that when a choke chain is not great for a dog with long hair, okay? Because it gets, every time you pull on the chain, the hair gets caught. So that's just a little something you might want to consider, just getting a canvas chain or something like that.
Yeah, well, she has a little canvas collar on, and normally that's
Is that
what I use with
Yes,
her.
baby. She says thank you for telling her that. Okay. So other than that, do we have how much time do we have left? I mean,
I haven't the faintest idea.
Any other
How are we
questions,
doing on time here? We all right?
3 minutes.
Okay, we got 3 minutes left. Well,
so anything else you want to ask about Sunny? Sunny's a great dog.
No, actually, what I want to ask, she is a great dog, and I absolutely adore her. No, please. But one thing I want to ask you, I know that you have an act that you do with your dogs, and I'd like you to tell us a little bit about that, because it sounds really interesting.
Well, I've always wanted to combine the psychic animal routines. Would you like me? She wants me to read her palm here. I think what I see in your paw is I've always wanted to combine animals in a psychic animal act. So I levitate my dog, which is available if you're interested. The dog is levitated, fully levitated, with the hoop and the music and the whole thing. And the dog loves it. The dog. We have 3 dogs, and they're all
3
in training.
trained?
No, just the one, but the other 2 are backups, just in case we need them.
Well, it must have taken a lot to teach the dog to be still. And are you using your telepathic communication in that respect?
Well, that and just a lot of love and attention. But it took about 3 years to really put the whole thing together.
Really?
So it was a lot of work and a lot of patience. But animal training, when you get down to it, that's what it is you have to be patient. If you're not patient, then the animal senses it and they will not respond. So.
Yeah, and I'm sure Kenny can agree with that too, especially with birds. It really takes a lot of patience.
Well, with birds, the smaller the animal is, the more hyper they are. So, because I work with elephants, and I mean, elephants, nothing can get in their way, so they're easy to train.
Well, I got to tell you, this show has just gone by too fast for me.
Yes.
I definitely want to have you come back. Stay right here.
Thanks for coming by.
It's really been an education, and of course, that's what this show is all about. It's to educate and hopefully to entertain you. I've certainly been entertained this last half hour. Now, if you want more information about the psychic world or hypnosis, whether it be for entertainment or for personal growth, or if you have a special request for something you'd like to see on a future show, don't be shy. Please get a hold of me. Watch for my address and phone number in the closing credits. And on the next edition of Brainstorm, my guest is going to be magician Howard J. He's a student of metaphysics, a master of illusion, a wizard of wit, and a talent you really won't want to miss. We'll see you then. Thanks for being here, and good night.
I'm Pileggi. The world is filled with amazing stories, tales of mystery and wonder. But things are not always what they seem when you explore the unknown.
Tonight, on Exploring the Unknown, how can some people do this?
I guess I just have a high tolerance for pain.
But others say this looks more painful than it is.
The whole idea is to persuade you that one thing's happening when really something else is happening.
Astronaut Buzz Aldrin says we'll all be doing it soon. Vacationing in space.
I believe that adventure travel is inevitable.
But will it be worth the dangers involved?
Rather than winding up with your astronaut wings, you're going to wind up with an astronaut funeral.
Mind control. It's been blamed for events that shocked the world.
There is no possibility that brainwashing does not exist.
But can someone really control another person's thoughts?
If these people had the power, they could rule the world.
Witness the haunting drama of a real-life seance.
Some people are cut off from saying goodbye to their loved ones. Speak to us!
I don't know what I believe, but that was definitely intense.
But is it real or just an elaborate parlor trick?
But look, could we run that back? There's the hidden part. The word seance brings to mind images of dark rooms, floating tables, and eerie voices. Is a seance just an elaborate magic show? Or can a so-called medium really communicate with the dead? Allison Holloway took part in a traditional seance to see if she could conjure up the truth.
Give us a sign from the garden, Beatrice. Speak to us.
An infrared camera gives a rarely seen glimpse at a lights-out phenomenon that has been shocking and frightening people for more than 150 years. It's called a seance, a ritual that some say has the ability to bring back the spirits of the dearly departed.
Luana is a name.
Can the living contact the dead? Medium Mark Edward says yes, and he's going to prove it to us here, tonight. Edward, who has conducted thousands of these rituals over the past 20 years, believes the medium performs a powerful service. Why do people latch on to something like this?
Some people are cut off from saying goodbye. They don't get to say goodbye to their loved ones. It's a terrible thing. So it draws people in because mediums are able to give them that goodbye or that bit of assurance that they didn't just turn to dust.
To ensure that no one was secretly working for the medium, we invited the sitters. I attended as an impartial observer with this cross-section of skeptics and believers.
I am absolutely convinced that there are things outside of our physical bodies that we most of the time can't see or don't have any idea about.
I really don't believe in it. As far as my closest supernatural experience would be like watching Ghostbusters 20 times.
I consider myself a skeptic, so kind of, we'll see, you know, curious, definitely.
My name is Mark Edward, and today it's going to be my privilege to act as your medium.
For most, this seance will be pure entertainment. But Tanaya Cleveland is really hoping that Mark Edward can put her in touch with a good friend who died tragically and prematurely.
There was a friend of mine from high school who it was one of those friends he was such a good guy, and you always thought you'd see him again. And it had actually been a year or two since I'd seen him, and I found out that he passed away.
This is
Mark Edward sets the stage with a number of props, including a tambourine and a bell.
So I also have spirit bell. So what I'm going to do is clean these off first.
He takes 2 blank slates and numbers them 1 through 4.
Side number 3. That leaves side number 4. Now, if you hear a sound during the seance, it sounds like scratching. Don't be alarmed and don't reach out into the center of the table because, you know, we want to just let something happen if it's going to happen.
Next, he takes a length of rope and puts it between the hands of skeptic David Lomano.
I want you to put 1 thumb on that end, 1 thumb on the other end. Now, your job during the seance will be don't let anyone get near that or move that, okay?
Then Edward shows us a piece of black construction paper.
So there's nothing in there now, but we will see.
He folds it into a makeshift envelope.
It's going to act as my
And then
guide.
that is folded inside 2 other pieces of paper. The papers are then placed under the hand of participant Shelley Morris.
Could you hold one part of your hand just lightly for now? Very good. Have those.
Finally, to ensure that Edward will be unable to perform any trickery after the lights go out, seance participant Harley Don is asked to tie the medium's hands to his knees. Our infrared camera is standing by and will run continuously during the seance. Although we can videotape most of the table, Edward has stipulated that we may not tape him while the lights are out. More on that later. With the lights down, Edward attempts to make contact with a spirit on the other side.
We need a sign, physical sign that you're here. Speak through my lips.
If the spirit world can be reached, a guide will speak through Edward and create a bridge between the living and the dead. Suddenly, contact is made.
Yes, I am here.
Watch again. In slow motion, you can see the tambourine slam down against the table, apparently by itself. Remember, the participants' hands are in an unbroken circle, and Edward's hands are tied tightly to his knees.
There is a garden.
The spirit guide refers to a specific kind of flower.
Tiger lily. Oh my God.
Someone's love of money.
It's silly, but someone likes coins.
But it's a very personal moment that really causes the hairs to stand up on the backs of our necks. To everyone's surprise, the medium starts talking to a man named Michael.
Are you there, Michael? Are you trying to reach through? Speak to us. Ring the bell.
Can we have the lights, please? Over.
After Edward is untied, there are more surprises in store for us.
There's the chalk, side number 2, nothing.
The slates contain an inspirational message.
Believe.
The empty, folded papers are suddenly filled.
Rose petals. Brush. Rose petals.
And the strand of rope in David Lamanna's hands has mysteriously knotted itself.
Look.
But the medium had an even bigger surprise for David.
He also wanted me to tell you about the scar on your right knee. Is that correct? Don't worry about it because it'll heal. It's going to heal. One night.
We asked Mark Edward to leave the seance room so we could candidly compare notes on what just occurred.
I didn't leave my hands off the table once, and he pulled the rope out, and it came into 3 knots.
I knew that David didn't move his hand. The knots may have been intriguing, but Edward's knowledge of David's knee injury was astounding.
I had a major surgery on my right knee from football, and he said that my knee would be fine. And I was kind of surprised at that because I'm wearing pants and you can't see it, so we have never talked.
But what about Tanaya? Did she make the contact she desperately hoped for?
At one point when he was talking about being in the garden, and I started thinking about my friend who had passed away. And he said his name.
Michael is there. Michael, will you speak to me? Will you give us a sign, Michael, that you're there?
But at that exact moment, I was thinking his name, and he said his name, and I got chills just like I have right now.
Are you there, Michael? Are you trying to reach through? Speak to us. Ring the bell.
Well, as an impartial observer, I can vouch that you saw and heard exactly what we experienced at this table tonight. But was it inhabitants from a spirit plane who shocked and frightened us tonight, or is there another explanation?
When we return, A former medium reveals the secrets of the seance that we couldn't see in the dark.
Mark Edward uses standard magic tricks that you can get from any magic catalog.
12 people from varying walks of life have just experienced one of the oldest paranormal rituals still being performed today. It's called a seance, and at least one of our sitters believes she actually felt the presence of a deceased friend.
Michael, will you speak to me? Will you give us a sign, Michael, that you're there?
I just wanted to be able to talk to him, but I guess, I mean, maybe I didn't have time for all that.
Do you believe you speak to the dead?
I believe that they speak to me.
Of course, seances and mediums have had their critics from their very inception. The great magician, Harry Houdini, believes seances to be the most despicable of cons, preying on people at their most vulnerable. Towards the end of his career in the early 1920s, he literally waged war on them. Dorothy Dietrich, custodian of the Houdini legacy at the Houdini Museum in Scranton, Pennsylvania, says talking to the dead was impossible back then, and it's still impossible today.
The people who are the clients, let's say, they're there because they truly want to contact the other world.
I'd love to be convinced that there's something out there, that there are spirits around us, even though it's kind of scary to think about.
A former medium who asked that we keep his identity a secret has agreed to analyze the seance we videotaped and offer some alternative explanations for what appears to be a series of supernatural phenomena.
Mark Edward uses standard magic tricks that you can get from any magic catalog and adds in an effective story.
I just want to suggest to you that what you may experience may be something inner or outer or a combination of the two.
Our expert says no one, spirit or human, had to write on these slates in the dark. The writing was already there. The trick is to show only 3 sides of the slates, but make it appear as if 4 sides have been displayed. Similarly, the rose petals that mysteriously appeared during the seance were already hidden in the folded papers.
The papers look very normal. Oh, but look, could we run that back? Look, you can see underneath. If you look carefully, there is the double fold, the hidden part.
With a little guidance from our expert, I perform the same trick with a purchase from the local magic shop. And I'm folding it open like this, and ha-ha! Hey presto, a $20 bill.
Rose petals.
The trick is, there are 2 sides to this piece of paper. There you go. And the knots were already in the ropes before the lights ever went out.
This is a very old rodeo trick where they would tie any number of knots in a rope simply by setting the knots up beforehand.
Now, your job during the seance will be don't let anyone get near that or move that, okay?
And pulling the end through.
And ropes, in theory, should have prevented Edward from banging the tambourine. But our expert says the apparently tied hands are also an illusion.
He somehow released himself and did what he needed to do, and then put himself back into the knots again.
A figure 8 of rope can be pulled and knotted so tightly around the knees and hands that it will actually cut off circulation. It looks impossible to escape from. Yet when the hands are rotated to the left, the effect is like loosening a tourniquet. The medium suddenly gains all the slack he needs to slip in and out. And this, our former medium says, is the reason why Mark Edward would not allow our infrared camera to film him during the seance.
It should be obvious to the audience, if he was real, why would he care whether the infrared camera is on him or not?
Even our believers had some doubts about evidence of the paranormal being presented with slates, tambourines, and ropes.
The ropes and stuff, I've seen things like that done before. Like, I don't know, that doesn't impress me at all.
I'm not trying to convince anybody whether I'm real or not real. I'm trying to open people's minds.
For our sitters, the most compelling evidence that something paranormal was really happening was the personal information the medium seemed to know about them, even though he had never met them before. The medium seemed to know that Tanaya's deceased friend's name was Michael.
Walking through the garden, there is Michael.
He seemed to know that David Lamano had a knee injury.
He also wanted me to tell you about the scar on your right knee. Is that correct?
But David Lamano had innocently revealed his knee injury to us during a pre-seance interview.
He used to play football, had a little pro run-in, then had a knee problem.
Where was Mark Edward when David Lamano was being interviewed? He was in the building setting up. It's very possible he could have been in earshot. We can say with certainty that a person who arrived with Mark Edward casually asked 3 seance sitters to go by themselves where no one could see them and jot down a key word or 2 on a piece of paper, put the folded paper in their pocket and show it to no one.
Somebody asked me earlier to write down some hobby that I do, and I wrote down coins.
Someone was thinking about money. Someone likes coins.
I had written tiger lilies on as my favorite flower, and he had said tiger lily in the garden.
I wrote
which I got.
Michael Caine.
Mark Edward never saw the piece of paper, but our expert says he didn't have to. The explanation could be as simple as carbon paper. A piece of carbon paper hidden a few pages below the top sheet of a notepad will leave a clearly legible impression. Without admitting that he resorted to trickery, Mark Edward defends the presentation as a way of breaking down emotional walls, to allow a person to have the contact they are seeking with a departed loved one.
It's not important whether it was a trick or whether it was real. The important thing was that spark happened with that one person out of 12. That's what's real to me.
I don't know what I believe, but that was definitely intense. And if he was really there, I just wanted to be able to talk to him.
Why do people get away with this? If you were told that you could contact someone who had passed on, how much would it be worth to you? There's no money that you wouldn't be willing to pay to have that final contact. So that's why they get away with it.
I think that the one young lady who was very upset by what she experienced, that to me is a danger, because if it is an unstable person, we don't know what she might do when she leaves that seance room. She could have nightmares.
Dangerous con, innocent entertainment, or therapeutic ritual that provides closure for the living who need to say one last goodbye. As with much of the paranormal, the reality of the experience is internal, personal, and subjective.
There are a lot of people who, even though you give them absolute evidence that something is a con, they still will say, oh, yeah, I know that's what you say, but, you know, there are some people that can really do this. So some people really, no matter what you say, they want to believe.
And the moment at which I felt what I felt, that can't be, I mean, that was real.
Are you there, Michael? Are you trying to reach through? Speak to us.
I'm Mitch Pileggi. There are a lot of amazing stories out there, full of mystery and wonder. But things are not always what they seem when you explore the unknown.
Tonight, this woman says she can speak to the dead.
Did your papa go fast, please? Yeah. Because he said to me, boom, right out of here.
But is it all a scam?
Don't mess with me now. I've proven that there is life after death.
I walked on fire. This man gets people to walk over hot coals.
I'm a little bit nervous.
But is it as dangerous as it looks?
You will not forget this night as long as you're alive.
Unbelievable surgery without instruments or anesthesia.
The doctor can open the patient up just with their hands.
But is it real or an illusion?
Above us was a craft with a beam coming down.
Was this man really abducted by aliens?
We know that all experience is derived from the brain.
This scientist can simulate abductions in his lab.
Is this object, captured on tape by NASA cameras aboard the space shuttle, hard evidence of an alien visitation?
There's some kind of a spacecraft out there.
Or is there a more down-to-earth explanation?
Sixth sense, ESP, clairvoyance. There are many mystical names given to the centuries-old practice of mind reading. But do people who claim to be psychic really possess a mysterious power? Or is it all just an act?
Did your papa go fast, please?
Yes.
Because he said to me, boom, right out of here.
It was a massive heart attack.
Because he said, boom, I'm
Suzanne Northrup says she can talk to the dead.
tied in with it. His mama's also gone. Am I correct on that, Carrie Ann?
Yes, she is.
Yes, because he says my mama's with me, and I don't know who he's making reference to. I don't know if somebody liked Roses, was named Rose, or Rose.
My grandmother was Rose.
Was that
Northrup is a psychic medium, gifted, she says, with a rare ability.
I hear somebody had a stroke connected to her also, and I don't know if that might have been her.
It was her.
It was her, because she shows me one side of her body. That usually means stroke to me. Do you understand? I'm sort of like a telephone between this world and the other world. Somehow I'm able to tune into the frequencies of people that have passed over or people that have physically died.
But are psychics, like Suzanne Northrup, for real?
Is the psychic an outright charlatan, or is it somebody who's self-deluded, they really believe that what they're doing is real?
You can't explain it by fraud, and you can't explain it by social psychological cueing, and you can't explain it by statistical coincidence. So how else are you going to explain it?
Whether you believe her or not, Suzanne Northrup's readings are undeniably dramatic and amazingly accurate.
Name, but I want to say here, David Danny, really strong. Danny. Who's that, please? My husband. Okay, thank you. For me, it's been my life experience. This isn't just something that I did a few years. It has been something that's been with me my whole life. Your brother seemed to go very fast. Don't ask me why.
Yeah.
That's what he tells me. And I don't know what was wrong with him, but I'm feeling throughout my blood. He tells me about...
Yeah, the kidneys.
Yeah, because
he
said
had a transplant.
Well, he said.
Can Suzanne Northrup really communicate with the dead?
There is something going on that we need to take very seriously.
Gary Schwartz, a University of Arizona psychology professor, recently studied a number of renowned psychics, including Suzanne Northrup, under scientifically controlled conditions.
She is more than 50% accurate, when someone like myself would be about 5% accurate. It absolutely befuddles us how she could know this information short of receiving it through some sort of psychic means.
And his mama was also there, so there must have been a grandmother connected to him with the name Mary or Marie, very clearly.
I believe that was her name.
Yeah. Don't mess with me now. Don't tell me that this is not real. Don't tell me that I'm a wacko. Don't tell me that I make this up, because now I've been tested.
But does a high degree of accuracy in a psychic reading verify psychic ability? Skeptics say no. It only proves that the psychic has mastered the tricks of the trade.
I think you have to look at the evidence and the scientific claims very carefully.
Mark Edward made his living as a medium for 10 years, but he confesses to having no psychic ability, and he's willing to expose others who don't.
Technique is to go very fast, say a lot of things, so fast that the normal average person doesn't have a chance to respond or reconstruct what you just said.
In order to demonstrate the methods phony psychics will utilize, we had Mark Edward offer free psychic readings at a shopping mall. Everyone who sat down with Mark believed they were with a real psychic.
I'm Mark. Yes, I'm Joe. Hi, Joe. Have a seat. I think when people go to a psychic, they expect to see some accurate information. So over the years, I've made my own little collection of phrases that seem to fit. One of them is, why do I pick up Charles? Who's Charles?
An older guy that lives across from me.
I'm getting the name like Charles.
I had an Uncle Charlie.
Uncle Charlie?
Yeah.
Who's Charles?
My husband.
If it hits, fine. If it doesn't...
Where do I hear the name Joseph? Very strong Joseph.
You just tell the person, watch for it.
No.
Just think about it, okay? Joseph George, sometimes I'll hear alike, but you'll check.
Okay.
Okay.
Another technique is just using initials.
The letter M is in so many different names, male and female names. You really can't go wrong with the letter M.
Who's he giving me with the M name female? M name female. Would this be the niece? You know, the name I'm hearing is Michelle. I don't know why, but
Michelle is his daughter's middle name.
Thank you very much.
But even Northrup isn't right all of the time.
Now, Grandpa went many years before her, please?
No.
It's the other way around?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot of methods that psychics or fraudulent readers use to convince a client that they didn't say something that was wrong when, in fact, they did. So they have a way to make a right turn or left turn.
Why would he talk about a car, Joanne? Did he pass a car down? Was a car a big deal or something?
No, but it was a car. My husband's restoring a car.
Ah, that's what it is. Thank you.
So you're fishing, but you're getting a response that seems like, oh, he is on the right track. For example, one of the things that I say is, why do I feel this distance? Why do I feel this distance with her? It can mean two things. It can mean geographic distance, or it can mean emotional distance.
Maybe it's because she lives in Alabama.
Now, if she had said no, she lives right down the street, and I'd say, well, there's an emotional distance that's kind of been there between the two of you. You're giving yourself outs so that you constantly have another path to go.
And I also think your father wore hats, because he shows me hats on his head.
No, he didn't.
Then was he losing his hair?
A little bit, yes.
Okay, because that's what it's got to be one or the other when he shows that to me.
And you just keep going, and you don't stop until the show's over. And when the show is over, they'll remember the hits and they'll forget the misses.
But perhaps the most common technique that Edward believes a psychic con will use is simply letting their subject talk, unwittingly volunteering information that the psychic then incorporates into the reading.
Something that he would have in his room, like either on a wall or a desk or something.
Yep.
It had to be very significant.
It was a pocket knife.
I couldn't tell what it was, because I can't always
And my son
distinguish.
carries it with him all the time
Because he says,
it was from him.
That's what, because he says it's very, I couldn't tell what it was. It looked small, and it wasn't a ring, it wasn't a watch, because usually those I'll get real specific. So I couldn't tell, but it kind of looked like this.
Is Suzanne Northrup a master of the psychic con? Not to those she reads.
Everything she said was right on the money. I mean, everything.
He also shows in the month of July. Very, very strong. Don't know why he showed me that month. Usually means it's a birth or passing.
My birthday is in July.
Thank you. I guess he's giving you an acknowledgement.
She does have a gift. It's phenomenal.
My philosophy about psychic phenomenon is that it does occur from time to time with all of us, but I think that when somebody says that they're going to make it happen and that they can do it on a consistent basis, I don't buy it.
I sympathize with the skeptic. There are many people in the field who, in all likelihood, are fraudulent. On the other hand, these individuals seem to receive information which they could not know from ordinary means.
To Mark Edward, this special knowledge is just knowing how to pull off a convincing con.
It's entertainment. I'm not a real psychic.
Oh my God.
Wow, that's really weird.
Well, how did you come up with the names and things?
I always say Charles.
Oh.
And as long as it is entertainment and it is put in those terms, I see nothing wrong with it. I'm not really a psychic.
Are you not really?
No.
Are you kidding?
No.
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have now crossed the ethereal path. I cannot be responsible for what may happen. Any broken glass or bleeding walls will be beyond my control. McBain, are you there? Yes. Yes. And he says, the grave. The grave. Too wide. Too deep. The grave. Cold. Very cold. McBain, the words, he says, he who flees from terror falls into the pit, and he who climbs out of the pit is caught in the snare. Is that what you're looking at, sir? Yes? And I see the name Jeremiah. Is that the chapter? And the number 44? Close the Bible. McBain, is Ravina with you there? Yes, McBain, go back. Back off, McBain, go back. Ravina forgives you. She forgives you, McBain. You may leave us now. Go back. Back to the other side.
going to make it happen and that they can do it on a consistent basis, I don't buy it.
I sympathize with the skeptic. There are many people in the field who, in all likelihood, are fraudulent. On the other hand, these individuals seem to receive information which they could not know from ordinary means.
To Mark Edward, this special knowledge is just knowing how to pull off a convincing con.
It's entertainment. I'm not a real psychic.
Oh my God.
Wow, that's really weird.
Well, how did you come up with the names and things?
I always say Charles.
Oh.
And as long as it is entertainment and it is put in those terms, I see nothing wrong with it. I'm not really a psychic.
You're not really?
No.
Are you kidding?
No.
Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have now crossed the ethereal path. I cannot be responsible for what may happen. Any broken glass or bleeding walls will be beyond my control. McBain, are you there? Yes. Yes. And he says, the grave. The grave. Too wide. Too deep. The grave. Cold. Very cold. McBain, the words, he says, he who flees from terror falls into the pit, and he who climbs out of the pit is caught in the snare. Is that what you're looking at, sir? Yes? And I see the name Jeremiah. Is that the chapter? And the number 44? Close the Bible. McBain, is Ravina with you there? Yes, McBain, go back. Back off, McBain, go back. Ravina forgives you. She forgives you, McBain. You may leave us now. Go back. Back to the other side.
Action, Adam. That's it, no problem.
I wonder if you'd care to wait in my office.
Certainly.
We're a bit nervous around here with all this business in the papers about Mr. Mulray. Right this way. You know, after you've worked with a man for a certain length of time, you come to know his habits, his values. You come to know him. And either he's the kind who chases after women or he isn't.
Mulray is. I like to get my students to be able to connect with the car, feel what that car's doing underneath them. It's kind of like riding a horse. You and the horse kind of become one. And I like to see when the student becomes one with the vehicle. Okay? And out of it. There you go, there you go, there you go. Okay, good. I like to get out of bed and do these first thing in the morning. That's a lot of fun, too. Let's go one more.
Don't miss AMC's Behind the Screen every Sunday.